Beloved, the world is nothing more than a mirror of the self. Every success you desire, every dream you long to hold, lies first within you. To focus on yourself until you win is not selfishness, it is the highest form of responsibility. For until you master your own inner world, you remain at the mercy of appearances. The beginning of all victory starts in silence, within the secret chambers of the mind. What picture are you holding of yourself? What silent words echo in your thoughts? For as surely as the seed determines the tree, your inner conversation gives birth to the outer life you live. Do not be deceived by the evidence of the senses. Circumstances are not final. They are only echoes of old states you once inhabited. Look beyond them. See yourself as the one who has already triumphed. Walk, speak, and feel as if your dream is now your reality. To focus on you until you win means to turn away from doubt, fear, and delay. It means to anchor your attention on the inner victory, even when the world laughs or resists. Do not argue with shadows. Do not plead with appearances. Instead, claim the truth of your being, quietly, boldly, faithfully. Victory does not come by chance. It comes by assumption. When you dwell in the end, when you hold unwavering faith in the vision, the unseen forces of life rearrange themselves to honor your belief. Stay loyal to the state of the winner, and the world must eventually reflect it. So close your eyes tonight and enter the image of yourself, already successful. Hear the words of congratulations. Feel the satisfaction of achievement. Rest in that state until it becomes more real than anything the senses can show you. This is the great secret. The world is yourself, pushed out. To focus on you until you win is to recognize that nothing outside has power over you. You are the dreamer, the creator, the source. And when you remain faithful to the inner vision, the victory cannot be denied. Focus on you until the win is inevitable. Imagination is the foundation upon which all things are built. Before a single invention, discovery, or success ever appeared in the physical world, it first existed as a thought, a vision, a silent picture in the mind of its creator. Nothing can exist outwardly unless it is first born inwardly. The unseen always precedes the seen. To recognize this truth is to awaken to the creative power within yourself, the power that shapes your destiny. Think of every advancement in history: the airplane, electricity, great works of art, towering cities, magnificent achievements of humanity. Each one was once invisible, a mere concept, an image held in imagination long before it could be touched or seen. If this is true for the world at large, it is even more true for the life you are living now, the relationships you hold, the career you walk in, the health of your body, even the atmosphere of your days. All of it is a reflection of the images and assumptions you have been carrying within. Most people believe life happens to them, that circumstances dictate their future. But the awakened soul knows it is imagination that dictates circumstances. The thoughts you nurture in silence, the inner conversations you rehearse when no one is watching, the secret pictures you hold about yourself, all of these are seeds, and the world outside is simply the soil in which they grow. If your imagination is filled with fear, doubt, and failure, the world must reflect that back to you in experiences. If instead you choose to dwell upon success, joy, and fulfillment, the world will rearrange itself to match. Imagination is not a pastime or a childish activity. It is the most serious and powerful tool you possess. Every time you close your eyes and see yourself as the person you long to be, you are building the foundation of that reality. The outer world cannot resist the inner blueprint. Life is compelled to reflect the pictures you hold with faith and persistence. But here lies the key. You must claim the inner vision as though it is already true. To imagine is not merely to fantasize about a distant future, but to assume the reality of it now. When you enter the state of fulfillment in imagination, feeling as though it is already done, you set in motion unseen currents that will, in time, carry you to that very outcome. The world is but a shadow. Imagination is the light that casts it. When you understand this, you will no longer beg the world to change. You will no longer wait for circumstances to prove your worth. Instead, you will turn inward and create the image of victory, abundance, and freedom. By persisting in that inner reality, you will discover that life has no choice but to reflect it. All creation begins in imagination. The foundation of your life tomorrow is being laid in the pictures you hold today. Guard them, shape them, and honor them, for in them lies the power to transform your world. The inner conversation is the quiet architect of your life. Long before words are spoken aloud or actions are taken, there is a stream of dialogue flowing within you. These whispered thoughts, repeated over and over in silence, shape the very course of your destiny. What you continually tell yourself becomes the truth you live, for the mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It accepts and creates from the impressions you impress upon it. Every moment you are engaged in a silent conversation. Perhaps you are affirming your abilities, whispering encouragement to yourself and imagining success. Or perhaps without noticing, you are rehearsing fears, doubting your worth, and repeating the old story of defeat. Whether uplifting or destructive, these inner dialogues are seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious. In time, they grow into the experiences of your outer life. The words you carry within shape the atmosphere of your days, determine the opportunities that open before you, and even influence how others respond to you. Consider how powerful this truth is. A person who continually says to themselves, "I am unlucky, nothing ever works for me," is not merely describing life, they are commanding it. Life must echo those inner words, bringing more evidence to confirm what has been declared. On the other hand, one who says within, "Everything I touch prospers, life always favors me," is setting in motion a chain of unseen forces that align with that inner decree. Destiny bends according to the silent script you keep repeating. This is why it is not enough to speak positive words outwardly, while secretly carrying conversations of fear and doubt inwardly. The world responds not to the mask you wear, but to the truth you rehearse in the secret chambers of the mind. The inner voice is the true author, and the outer life is its published work. To change the story you are living, you must first change the story you are telling yourself when no one is listening. It may seem difficult at first, for the old conversations feel familiar and persistent, yet with awareness and persistence, you can begin to replace them. Each time you catch yourself repeating the words of limitation, pause and redirect. Choose instead to affirm the reality you desire. Whisper within, I am capable, I am chosen, I am victorious, I am already living the life I long for. Speak it until it feels natural. In time, these new conversations take root. They alter the way you see yourself, the way you move through the world, and the way the world responds to you. Destiny is not an accident but a creation, and it is created through the ceaseless dialogue of your inner being. Guard your words, for they are never idle. Each thought you repeat is a seed, and every seed must bear fruit. Shape your inner conversation wisely, and you will shape a destiny of victory, abundance, and joy. The greatest mistake a person can make is to believe that what they see before their eyes is final. Appearances are deceptive, for they are nothing more than the outpicturing of past beliefs and thoughts. What you behold today is not the truth of what is possible. It is only the shadow of yesterday's imagination. To live by sight alone is to remain imprisoned by effects, while the true cause of change lies within. To detach from appearances is to recognize that circumstances have no power except the meaning you give them. When you look at life and see lack, failure, or limitation, you must remind yourself that these conditions are temporary. They are echoes of states you once entertained in mind. They are the fruit of seeds already sown, and like all fruit, they will wither in time. To dwell on them, to fear them, or to accept them as permanent is to bind yourself to an old reality. But when you refuse to be moved, when you instead turn your attention to the unseen reality of your desire fulfilled, you withdraw power from appearances and invest it in the vision of what is to come. Detaching does not mean ignoring life or pretending difficulties do not exist. It means refusing to give them authority over your state of being. You may acknowledge what is in front of you, but you no longer let it dictate how you feel, what you believe, or what you expect. You understand that life rearranges itself according to your inner state, not according to what is presently visible. The outer world is always behind the inner. It is slow, a reflection that lags behind the present moment of imagination. Think of a movie reel. By the time the image appears on the screen, the frame has already passed through the projector. You cannot change the picture by scratching at the screen. You must change the reel. In the same way, you cannot alter life by wrestling with appearances. You must go to the source, the inner projector of imagination, and choose a new frame. When you do, the outer world will, in time, catch up and reveal the change. This is why faith is required. Faith is not blind hope. It is the certainty that the invisible is more real than the visible. Faith is the refusal to be disturbed by appearances, knowing they are but shadows. Shadows do not define reality. They only point back to the object that casts them. Your inner state is that object, and appearances are its fleeting outline. The wise remain unmoved. They hold to their vision, even when all evidence seems to deny it. They walk in the joy of fulfillment before the fulfillment arrives, knowing that appearances must eventually give way. And when the old dissolves, the new, long nurtured within, emerges as the visible world. Detach, therefore, from what you see. Do not argue with shadows. Withdraw your belief from temporary conditions and invest it fully in the reality you choose to occupy within. For in time, the world will be compelled to mirror your inner state. Appearances will fade, but the truth of your imagination will endure. To assume the end boldly is to step into the state of fulfillment with unwavering confidence. To walk as if what you desire is already accomplished. It is not timid wishing, nor is it daydreaming about what might be possible someday. It is the deliberate act of embodying your goal now, in thought, in feeling, and in imagination. The outer world may not yet show signs of change, but within you anchor yourself in the victory. By doing so, you call forth the unseen into the seen, the invisible into the visible. Living as though the victory is already yours requires courage, for it demands that you ignore the evidence of your senses and lean fully on the truth of your imagination. The world may tell you that you are not ready, that you lack the resources, or that circumstances are against you. But if you hold to these appearances, you remain bound to them. To assume boldly is to reject such limitations and to declare within yourself, "It is done." You see yourself already possessing, already achieving, already becoming that which you desire. You walk in it, think from it, and feel it as natural. This boldness is not arrogance, but faith in action. It is the faith that the unseen power within you is greater than the outer conditions around you. By assuming the end, you are not forcing the world to change. You are aligning with the truth that the world must reflect your inner state. When you persist in dwelling in the end, life is compelled to rearrange itself to match the reality you have already claimed inwardly. Consider how an actor steps onto the stage. They do not hope to be their character, they take on the role completely, moving, speaking, and feeling as if they are already that person. In the same way, to assume the end boldly is to step into the role of the one who has already won. You no longer ask, "Will I succeed?" Instead, you say, "I am successful." You do not question, "Will I ever be loved?" Instead, you declare, "I am loved and cherished." The state you inhabit within becomes the identity you project, and the world responds accordingly. As Coben said, you can have, this may feel like pretense, but it is not. It is creation. The imagination is the womb of reality, and when you boldly assume the end, you are planting the seed of fulfillment in fertile soil. Though the fruit may not appear instantly, it is inevitable, for life cannot deny the persistent assumption of the heart. What you accept as true inwardly must harden into fact outwardly. The timid wait for signs before believing, but the bold create the signs by believing first. They refuse to live in doubt, for doubt only prolongs delay. They dwell instead in the feeling of accomplishment, celebrating inwardly before the world has reason to applaud. And in time the applause comes, for the outer world cannot resist the conviction of one who has already claimed the end. To assume the end boldly is the key to transformation. Walk now as the one you long to be. Speak from the victory, feel the fulfillment, and do so with such certainty that the world has no choice but to mirror your inner triumph. For when you live as though it is already yours, it soon will be. Persistence is the mark of true mastery. To persist is to remain steadfast in your inner vision regardless of what the outer world shows you. It is the discipline of loyalty to your imagination, the refusal to abandon your dream simply because circumstances appear to oppose it. The one who persists understands that outer conditions are slow to change, that they are the lingering shadows of old states of mind. To be swayed by them is to plant new seeds of doubt and prolong the fulfillment of your desire. But to persist is to stand firm, to continue seeing, feeling, and believing. In the end, you have already claimed within. The outer world often tests the strength of your faith. Just when you have imagined your victory, circumstances may seem to grow worse. Doors may close, people may doubt you, and evidence may rise that appears to mock your inner vision. This is the moment when persistence is required. Many abandon their dreams at the first sign of contradiction, not realizing that such contradictions are only the remnants of past beliefs dissolving. They mistake the shaking of the old foundation for a failure, when in truth it is only the breaking away that allows the new to take root. Persistence is not struggle. It is not frantic effort to force the outer world to change. It is quiet, calm determination, a steady inner focus on what you have already chosen to be true. It is the choice to return again and again to the vision, no matter how many times the senses try to distract you. Like a compass that always points north, persistence directs your attention back to the desired state until it becomes natural, familiar, and unquestioned. Think of a sculptor chiseling a block of stone. With each strike, the form becomes clearer. If the sculptor were to stop halfway, the image would remain incomplete. But through steady, repeated action, the masterpiece emerges. In the same way, each time you return to your inner vision, you are chiseling away at the false appearances of limitation. Through persistence, the true image within eventually reveals itself in the world without. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is rarely talent or opportunity. It is persistence. The persistent do not accept appearances as final. They remain loyal to the unseen. They nurture their vision as one protects a fragile seedling, knowing that with time it will grow strong enough to stand on its own. They resist the urge to dig up the seed to see if it is growing. They trust the process, for they know the harvest is guaranteed to those who persist. Mastery is not achieved in a moment. It is forged in persistence. To persist is to declare that your inner world holds greater authority than the outer. It is to honor the truth that imagination creates reality, and to live from that truth until the outer world bows to it. The one who persists cannot fail, for persistence transforms the invisible into the inevitable. Remain loyal to your vision, and the world will, in time, mirror it back to you in full. You are the cause, not the effect. This is the great truth that frees the individual from bondage to circumstances. The world, with all its shifting appearances, is not acting upon you independently. It is reflecting you. Every condition of your life, every relationship, every success or failure is the mirror of your inner state. To believe otherwise is to live as a victim of chance, tossed about by forces outside your control. But to awaken to the truth that you are the cause is to claim the power to reshape your destiny by reshaping yourself within. Most people live as if life is happening to them. They blame the economy, their upbringing, their environment, or other people for their situation. Yet all these are but effects, shadows cast by the inner man. To change them without changing yourself is like rearranging the reflection in a mirror without altering the face that casts it. The reflection cannot change first The source must. Likewise, your outer world cannot improve until you first assume within yourself the state of the one who already lives the life you desire. The world is a vast echo chamber. Whatever you whisper within yourself returns amplified as the circumstances of your life. If your inner state is one of lack, fear, or unworthiness, then experiences of lack, fear, and rejection must appear before you. But if your inner state is one of abundance, confidence, and worth, the world will inevitably mirror that as well. The law is unfailing. You reap what you sow, not in the soil of the earth, but in the soil of the mind. This understanding is not meant to condemn, but to empower. If you do not like what life shows you, you need not fight the shadows. You need only turn inward and assume a new state of being. The moment you shift within, the outer world begins to reorganize itself to reflect that shift. It may not appear instantly, for the old reflections may linger a while, but in time, the mirror must catch up to the new image. The cause has changed, and so the effect cannot remain the same. This truth demands responsibility. You can no longer say, I am this way because of them, or I cannot succeed because of that. Such excuses vanish when you know that the cause is always within you. At first, this may feel heavy, but soon it becomes liberating, for it means you are not bound by anything outside yourself. No person, no condition, no circumstance has final power over you. The power is within, and the world must obey its command. Therefore, take ownership of your inner state. Guard your thoughts, nurture your imagination, and align yourself with the vision of the life you desire. See yourself already victorious, already free, already living in abundance, and remain faithful to that image. As surely as the reflection follows the face, the world must follow your inner transformation. You are the cause, never the effect. And when you change within, the entire world must bow to your new state of being. When all is said and done, everything returns to one truth. The world you see is born from the world you hold within. Imagination lays the foundation. Inner conversations shape destiny. Appearances are but shadows. Bold assumption creates the future. Persistence secures the victory. And the realization that you are the cause sets you free. The power has always been yours. If you remain faithful to the vision within, no circumstance, no doubt, and no delay can stand against you. Focus on you until you win, and you will find that the win was never in question. It was always waiting within you to be revealed. Thank you for listening, and may you walk in the certainty of your inner power, carrying with you the unshakable knowing that your victory is inevitable.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to embark on a journey toward a better you version of yourself, where the greatest treasures lie not in external possessions, but within the creative power of your own mind. In this journey, there are certain pitfalls that must be avoided, behaviors that, like chains, bind you to a lesser version of yourself. And in freeing yourself from these, you unlock the potential to create, to manifest, and to live in alignment with your deepest desires. Negative self-talk is one of the most insidious behaviors that can prevent you from realizing your potential. It often operates subtly, creeping into your thoughts without you even realizing its impact. Every time you think or say something negative about yourself, you reinforce a limiting belief, solidifying an image of yourself that is small, incapable, or unworthy. The mind is incredibly powerful, and it will always strive to align your outer reality with the inner narrative you consistently tell. If that narrative is one of failure, inadequacy, or unworthiness, then you will begin to see those qualities reflected in your life, relationships, and experiences. The way you speak to yourself is in fact a creative act. Every thought you entertain, Every phrase you utter about yourself is like casting a spell. Words carry energy, and that energy shapes your internal and external worlds. When you say things like, "I can't do this" or "I'm not good enough," you are not merely making observations, you are cementing those ideas as truths. And in doing so, you close yourself off from the vast possibilities that life offers. You limit your own power by placing a ceiling on what you believe is achievable. It is important to understand that the subconscious mind is always listening, always absorbing the messages you give it. Unlike the conscious mind, the subconscious does not question or analyze, it simply accepts what it is given and works to manifest those beliefs into your reality. If you continually feed it negativity, it will mirror those thoughts in the circumstances and experiences you encounter. You begin to attract situations, people, and outcomes that validate the narrative you've internalized. What makes negative self-talk particularly dangerous is that it often goes unnoticed. It becomes a background noise, a constant hum that accompanies your daily life. You may not even realize how frequently you criticize yourself, diminish your achievements, or question your worth. But over time, these thoughts accumulate, forming a foundation upon which your sense of self is built. The more you indulge in negative self-talk, the more difficult it becomes to break free from it, because it starts to feel like reality. You convince yourself that this is just who you are when, in truth, it is merely a reflection of your current thought patterns. To change this, you must first become aware of the language you use when speaking to yourself. Pay attention to the internal dialogue that runs through your mind. Notice the moments when you judge yourself harshly or predict failure before even trying. Awareness is the first step toward change, because you cannot transform what you do not acknowledge. Once you become conscious of your self-talk, you can begin to shift it. Instead of allowing negative thoughts to dominate, you can deliberately replace them with empowering, positive affirmations. This process requires persistence and patience. Negative self-talk is often deeply ingrained, the result of years of conditioning and societal programming. You may not be able to silence those critical voices overnight, but with consistent effort, you can weaken their grip. Begin by challenging the thoughts that arise. Ask yourself, is this really true? More often than not, you will find that your self-criticisms are exaggerated or entirely baseless. Then, consciously choose to rewrite the narrative. Replace "I can't" with "I can." Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," say, "I am capable of growth and improvement." As you continue this practice, something remarkable happens. Your perception of yourself begins to shift. Your mind, no longer confined by negativity, starts to open up to new possibilities. You begin to see opportunities where there once were only obstacles. You find strength where you previously saw weakness. Your sense of self-worth grows, and with it, your capacity to create the life you desire. The mind is a garden, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, you will reap a harvest of disappointment. But if you plant seeds of confidence, positivity, and self-love, your life will bloom with abundance. The choice is always yours. Procrastination is a subtle form of self-sabotage, a behavior that prevents you from aligning with your goals and aspirations. It often masquerades as harmless delay, but in reality it creates a gap between intention and action, making it increasingly difficult to bring your desires into reality. Every time you put off a task, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, you reinforce a habit of inaction. And the longer you delay, the more daunting the task becomes, creating a cycle of avoidance that leads to stagnation. One of the most harmful aspects of procrastination is the illusion that there will always be more time. We often tell ourselves that we'll start tomorrow, or next week, or when conditions are just right. But this belief that there's an ideal moment to begin is deceptive. Conditions will never be perfect. There will always be distractions, obstacles, or uncertainties. Waiting for the perfect moment is simply an excuse to avoid stepping into the discomfort of action. What we fail to realize is that the act of starting, no matter how imperfectly, is the key to momentum. Once you take that first step, the next one becomes easier, and progress starts to build. Procrastination isn't just about delaying tasks, it's about delaying growth. Every goal, every ambition requires action to come to fruition. When you procrastinate, you put a hold on your own development. Whether it's a career goal, a personal project, or even a relationship, the longer you wait to engage with it, the more opportunities slip by unnoticed. Time, once lost, cannot be reclaimed. And while the consequences of procrastination may not be immediately visible, they accumulate over time, leading to a sense of unfulfilled potential and regret. There is also an emotional toll that comes with procrastination. As you continually delay action, a sense of guilt or anxiety begins to set in. You become aware, even subconsciously, that you are not living up to your own expectations. This creates an internal conflict, a tension between what you know you should be doing and what you're actually doing. This tension can sap your energy and enthusiasm, making it even harder to take action. Over time, procrastination can erode your confidence as you begin to question your ability to follow through on your commitments, not just to others, but to yourself. At the root of procrastination is often fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. When faced with a task that challenges you, there's a natural instinct to avoid it in order to protect yourself from potential disappointment or discomfort. But this fear, though understandable, is misplaced. Growth and progress always come with a certain level of discomfort. Every new venture, every goal worth pursuing, requires you to stretch beyond your current limitations. By avoiding that discomfort, you also avoid the very experiences that lead to personal growth and achievement. Procrastination can also be tied to perfectionism, the belief that you must wait until you are fully prepared or until you can execute something flawlessly, often leads to indefinite delays. Perfectionism creates unrealistic standards that are impossible to meet, paralyzing you in a state of inaction. You become trapped in an endless loop of preparation, constantly refining and planning, but never actually doing. The truth is, there will never be a perfect moment to start, and you will never be perfectly prepared. The path to success is messy, filled with mistakes and learning along the way. But by waiting for perfection, you deny yourself the opportunity to evolve through experience. In many ways, procrastination is a defense mechanism. It's a way of protecting yourself from the vulnerability that comes with taking action. To act is to expose yourself to judgment, to failure, to the possibility of not meeting your expectations. But it's also the only way to achieve anything of value. Every great accomplishment, no matter how monumental, began with a single step forward, and that step required the individual to overcome the inertia of procrastination, to act despite fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Another overlooked aspect of procrastination is the ripple effect it has on other areas of life. When you delay action in one area, it often spills over into others. If you consistently put off important tasks, it can create a backlog of unfinished business, leading to stress and overwhelm. This, in turn, can affect your mental clarity, emotional well-being, and even your relationships. Procrastination, in this sense, becomes a habit, a way of being that permeates your life, making it difficult to maintain focus, discipline, and forward momentum in all aspects of your existence. It's important to recognize that procrastination is not a reflection of laziness or lack of ambition. It is a pattern of behavior that can be changed, but only through conscious effort. Many people who struggle with procrastination are highly capable and have grand visions for their lives. However, their fear of stepping into the unknown, or their desire for perfection, holds them back from realizing those visions. The key to breaking free from procrastination is to take action in small, manageable steps. By starting with one small task, you build confidence and momentum, which then makes it easier to tackle larger, more complex tasks. Procrastination robs you of the most valuable resource you have: time. Time is finite, and how you choose to use it determines the quality and trajectory of your life. When you delay action, you are not just postponing tasks, you are postponing the fulfillment of your potential. Each moment that passes is an opportunity to create, to grow, to move closer to your goals. But when you procrastinate, those moments slip away, leaving you with nothing but the weight of what could have been. Fear of failure is one of the most paralyzing forces that can hold a person back from realizing their true potential. It stems from a deep-seated belief that making mistakes or experiencing setbacks reflects a fundamental inadequacy, and this belief creates an intense desire to avoid situations where failure is possible. Instead of viewing failure as a natural part of growth, it becomes something to be feared and avoided at all costs. The fear itself often becomes larger than the actual event of failing, turning into a mental barrier that limits action, progress, and personal development. At its core, the fear of failure is often tied to our identity and sense of self-worth. Many people equate their achievements or successes with their value as individuals. When failure occurs, it is not seen as just a temporary setback or a learning experience. Instead, it feels like a direct reflection of who they are. The fear, then, is not just about the failure itself, but about the judgment that follows, whether from others or from within. It's the fear that failing means being seen as inadequate, incompetent, or unworthy. This creates a high-stakes environment where even the smallest possibility of failure feels like a threat to one's very identity. Because of this fear, many people avoid taking risks or pursuing new opportunities. They stay within the comfort zone, where they feel safe and in control. However, this safety is an illusion. By avoiding failure, they are also avoiding the chance to grow, learn, and evolve. Sticking to what's familiar may prevent failure, but it also prevents success. Opportunities for growth lie beyond the boundaries of what is known, and to reach them requires the willingness to face uncertainty and the potential for failure. Yet for many, the thought of stepping into the unknown is overwhelming, and they retreat to what feels secure, even if it means remaining stagnant. This fear of failure can manifest in subtle ways. Sometimes it leads to perfectionism, where the individual becomes so focused on avoiding mistakes that they never feel ready to start or complete a task. They get caught in an endless cycle of preparation, tweaking, and refining, but never actually take the plunge. The desire to do everything perfectly the first time becomes a way to protect themselves from failure, but in reality, it's just another form of avoidance. The pursuit of perfection becomes a way of delaying action indefinitely, ensuring that failure never has a chance to happen because nothing ever gets finished. In other cases, the fear of failure leads to procrastination. When faced with a task or challenge that carries the risk of failure, some people delay taking action altogether. By not starting, they protect themselves from the possibility of failing, but they also prevent any chance of success. This avoidance strategy might provide temporary relief, but it creates long-term consequences. The tasks pile up, the pressure builds, and the fear of failure intensifies as the stakes grow higher. Eventually, the individual may feel overwhelmed by both the looming possibility of failure and the mounting evidence of their inaction. Fear of failure can also cause people to lower their aspirations and settle for less than they are capable of achieving. When the fear becomes too strong, it's easier to shrink your goals and pursue something safer, something that feels attainable without much risk. But in doing so, they limit their own potential. The fear convinces them that aiming for something greater will only lead to disappointment, so they choose paths that are comfortable but unchallenging. This self-limiting behavior creates a cycle of mediocrity, where they never push themselves beyond what they already know, and as a result, they miss out on the chance to discover their true capabilities. Another effect of the fear of failure is how it distorts the way people interpret setbacks or mistakes. Instead of seeing failure as a normal part of the learning process, it's viewed as final and catastrophic. When failure occurs, it's taken as a confirmation of one's worst fears that they aren't good enough or capable enough. This mindset makes it difficult to recover from failure, because it turns every setback into an overwhelming emotional experience. The pain of failure becomes so intense that it discourages further attempts, reinforcing the belief that failure is something to be avoided at all costs. However, failure itself is rarely as damaging as the fear surrounding it. In most cases, failure is a temporary condition, a single moment in time that passes and provides valuable insights for future attempts. The fear, on the other hand, creates a long-lasting barrier that prevents progress and growth. It magnifies the consequences of failure in the mind, making them seem larger and more devastating than they actually are. This exaggerated perception of failure keeps people trapped in their current circumstances, unable to move forward because they believe the risk of failure outweighs the potential rewards. The impact of the fear of failure extends beyond individual goals and ambitions. It can affect relationships, careers, and personal fulfillment. In relationships, fear of failure may cause people to avoid vulnerability, fearing that being open and authentic might lead to rejection or disappointment. In the workplace, it can result in missed opportunities, as individuals may shy away from leadership roles or challenging projects due to the fear of not being able to succeed. On a personal level, it can lead to a sense of dissatisfaction, as people realize they are living below their potential, but feel unable to break free from the fear that holds them back. Fear of failure is not just about avoiding failure itself, it's about avoiding the possibility of discomfort, embarrassment, or criticism. It's about maintaining the appearance of control, even if that means staying in a place of safety and predictability. But in doing so, people rob themselves of the richness that life has to offer. Failure is an inevitable part of the human experience, and with it comes growth, resilience, and wisdom. Yet the fear of it keeps many from ever realizing what they are truly capable of. This fear, though deeply ingrained, is a barrier to the kind of meaningful, fulfilling life that can only be achieved through risk, challenge, and yes, sometimes failure. Blaming others is a behavior that often feels justified in the moment, but ultimately becomes a barrier to personal growth and empowerment. When things don't go as planned, or when difficulties arise, it can be tempting to shift the responsibility onto someone or something external. This habit provides temporary relief by placing the burden of accountability elsewhere, but in the long term, it perpetuates a mindset of victimhood and helplessness. Each time you blame someone else for a negative outcome, you effectively give away your power to change the situation or to learn from it. At its core, blaming others stems from an unwillingness to face uncomfortable truths about our own role in the events of our lives. It's far easier to point a finger at external circumstances, whether it be a colleague, a partner, or even society at large, than to confront our own mistakes, limitations, or poor decisions. This deflection protects the ego from the sting of failure or criticism, but it also blocks self-awareness and personal development. When the focus is always on what others did wrong, you miss the opportunity to reflect on what you could do differently to create better outcomes. Blame also creates a false sense of control. By blaming others, you convince yourself that if only external conditions were different, everything would be better. This narrative makes it seem like the solution lies outside of yourself, in the actions or behavior of others. But in reality, true control comes from acknowledging that while you may not have power over every external event, you do have control over your reactions, your decisions, and your mindset. Blame shifts this power away from you, making it harder to take meaningful steps toward change. Moreover, blaming others can lead to strained relationships. When blame is the default response, it creates an environment of defensiveness and mistrust. People feel attacked, and rather than fostering cooperation or understanding, blame drives a wedge between individuals. Over time, this can erode communication and build resentment. In personal relationships, whether romantic, familial, or professional, constantly blaming others damages the connection and makes it difficult to resolve conflicts in a healthy, constructive way. Blame is also closely tied to a fixed mindset, where people believe that their abilities and circumstances are unchangeable. In this mindset, failure is seen as a personal flaw, something to be avoided at all costs. When something goes wrong, rather than viewing it as an opportunity to learn or grow, people in a fixed mindset look for external reasons to explain the failure. By blaming others, they avoid confronting the belief that they themselves might need to adapt, improve, or take a different approach. This limits their ability to evolve because they never take ownership of their own growth process. Another consequence of blaming others is that it prevents accountability. Taking responsibility for your actions, choices, and outcomes is crucial for personal empowerment. When you accept accountability, you give yourself the ability to make changes, learn from mistakes, and improve future outcomes. Blame, on the other hand, keeps you stuck in a loop of repetition, where the same problems continue to surface because you're not addressing the underlying issues. Without accountability, there's no room for improvement, and you remain in a state of dependency on external factors to determine your success or happiness. Blaming others can also contribute to a sense of dissatisfaction with life. When you're constantly focused on what others are doing wrong or how external circumstances are unfair, it fosters a mindset of negativity and frustration. You start to see the world as something that's happening to you, rather than something you have a role in shaping. This perspective breeds cynicism and can lead to feelings of bitterness or powerlessness. Rather than feeling like an active participant in your own life, you become a passive observer, waiting for circumstances to change before you can move forward. In many cases, the habit of blaming others is learned early in life. It might come from watching adults or authority figures deflect responsibility, or it might be reinforced by environments that discourage personal accountability. Over time, it becomes an ingrained behavior, one that feels automatic and often goes unnoticed. However, like any habit, it can be unlearned. The first step is recognizing the tendency to blame and understanding how it limits your growth and your ability to take charge of your own life. Once you become aware of it, you can begin to consciously choose a different response, one that focuses on responsibility and self-reflection. Blaming others also distracts from the bigger picture. Life is complex, and most situations are influenced by a multitude of factors. Focusing on blame narrows your perspective, preventing you from seeing the full range of possibilities for change and improvement. It encourages a black and white view of situations, where someone is either right or wrong, responsible or innocent. But in reality, most situations involve shades of gray, where multiple factors, including your own choices, play a role in the outcome. By moving away from blame and toward understanding, you open yourself up to a more nuanced and empowering way of seeing the world. Blaming others perpetuates a mindset of separation. It reinforces the idea that you are isolated from those around you, that their actions and your outcomes are disconnected. But in truth, we are all interconnected, and the way we interact with others, the choices we make, and the attitudes we hold all contribute to the collective experience. When you blame others, you distance yourself from this interconnectedness and miss the opportunity to collaborate, grow, and find solutions together. Instead of seeing others as part of the problem, you can choose to see them as part of the process of growth and transformation. Living in the past is a behavior that keeps individuals trapped in a cycle of regret, nostalgia, or unresolved emotions. When you constantly focus on past experiences, whether they were moments of happiness or pain, you remove yourself from the present moment, the only time in which real change, growth, and creation can occur. The past, while important for learning and reflection, can become a prison when it dominates your thoughts and prevents you from engaging with the present and future possibilities. One of the primary reasons people get stuck in the past is due to unresolved emotions. When painful experiences are not properly processed, they can leave a lingering imprint on the mind, replaying over and over like a loop. You may dwell on what you could have done differently, what others should have done, or how things might have turned out. This rumination creates a state of mental paralysis where the same thoughts and emotions are recycled, but no progress is made in moving forward. The more you revisit these memories, the stronger their emotional charge becomes, making it harder to break free from the past. Living in the past can also be a way of avoiding the uncertainties of the present and the future. The past is known, it's familiar and fixed, and for some it provides a sense of comfort. Even if the memories are painful, they are predictable, unlike the unknown future, which can provoke fear or anxiety. This attachment to the past may feel like a safe refuge from the unpredictability of life, but it comes at the cost of personal evolution. By clinging to the past, you limit your ability to embrace new opportunities, relationships, and experiences that could lead to growth and fulfillment. Another way people live in the past is through nostalgia. particularly when they idealize certain moments or periods in their lives. They may romanticize the good old days, believing that those times were somehow better than the present. This selective memory filters out the challenges and difficulties that likely existed during those moments, focusing only on the positives. While reminiscing can bring comfort or joy, excessive nostalgia can create dissatisfaction with the present. The more you long for a past that no longer exists, the more you disconnect from the richness and potential of the current moment. Living in the past also impacts your relationships. When your mind is focused on past experiences, you may struggle to be fully present with the people in your life. You may hold on to grudges or unresolved conflicts, projecting old wounds onto current interactions. This can prevent you from forming deep, authentic connections because you are not truly engaging with the present version of the people around you. Instead, you filter your interactions through the lens of past experiences, limiting your ability to see others and yourself as dynamic, evolving beings capable of growth and change. People live in the past because they are seeking validation for their current circumstances. They may hold on to past achievements or failures as a way to justify where they are now. For instance, someone who experienced success in the past may use those memories to feel better about their current situation, even if it no longer reflects who they are or what they are capable of. On the other hand, someone who has experienced failure may continue to identify with that failure, allowing it to define their self-worth and limit their future possibilities. In both cases, the past becomes a crutch, preventing individuals from fully embracing the present and their potential to create something new. Living in the past also creates a sense of stagnation. Life is constantly moving forward, evolving and changing, but when you're stuck in past memories or regrets, you remain in a state of inertia. You may resist new challenges or opportunities because they require you to let go of what was and step into the unknown. This resistance to change can lead to feelings of frustration, disappointment, or even depression, as you realize that life is passing by while you remain mentally anchored in a time that no longer exists. The energy that could be used to create new experiences is instead consumed by replaying old ones, leaving little room for growth. In some cases, living in the past is a way of avoiding responsibility for the present. It can be easier to blame past circumstances, decisions, or other people for your current situation than to take ownership of where you are now. When you constantly reference the past as the source of your present difficulties, you create a narrative in which you are powerless to change your circumstances. This mindset keeps you locked in a cycle of victimhood, where the past is seen as an immovable force that controls your life, rather than something you have the power to transcend. The habit of living in the past also disrupts your ability to set and pursue future goals. When your focus is on what has already happened, it becomes difficult to envision a different future or to take action toward creating one. Your energy is consumed by what was, leaving little room for what could be. As a result, you may find yourself repeating the same patterns, stuck in a loop of familiar experiences rather than forging new paths. This lack of forward momentum can lead to feelings of frustration, as you wonder why things never seem to change, despite your desire for something more. Living in the past can also distort your perception of time. When you are constantly revisiting old memories or dwelling on past mistakes, it creates the illusion that time is standing still. You may feel like you're not making progress in life because your mind is tethered to events that have already passed. This distorted sense of time can make it difficult to appreciate the progress you've made or to recognize the opportunities that are available to you in the present. The past becomes a kind of mental anchor, weighing you down and preventing you from moving forward with clarity and purpose. Living in the past robs you of the opportunity to fully engage with the present moment. The present is where life is happening, where you have the power to make choices, take action, and shape your future. By constantly looking backward, you miss the beauty, possibilities, and growth that exist right now. While the past may hold valuable lessons or cherished memories, it is not a place to live. The only way to move forward is to release your attachment to what was and open yourself to the limitless potential of what could be. Seeking validation from others is a behavior rooted in the desire for external approval and affirmation. It stems from the belief that your worth, success, or happiness is dependent on how others perceive you. While it's natural to want recognition or praise, constantly seeking validation from external sources can become a limiting habit that undermines self-confidence and personal growth. When you rely on the opinions or approval of others to feel good about yourself, you hand over your sense of self-worth to forces outside your control. At the heart of seeking validation is often an underlying insecurity or lack of self-belief. People who habitually seek validation tend to question their own abilities, decisions, or value, and look to others to confirm that they are doing the right thing or that they are worthy. This reliance on external feedback creates a cycle of dependence, where your self-esteem becomes tied to how others respond to you. As a result, your sense of identity is shaped more by what others think of you than by your own inner understanding of who you are and what you value. This constant need for approval can lead to people-pleasing behavior. When you seek validation, you may go out of your way to accommodate others, even at the expense of your own needs or desires. You become focused on saying the right thing, doing what others expect, or conforming to social norms in order to receive positive feedback. While this might bring temporary approval, it ultimately creates a disconnect between your true self and the version of yourself you present to the world. Over time, this can lead to feelings of frustration or resentment, as you realize that you are not living authentically, but rather shaping your life around others' expectations. Validation can also stifle creativity and innovation. When you're constantly concerned with what others think, you're less likely to take risks or pursue ideas that deviate from the norm. Fear of criticism or rejection can hold you back from exploring new possibilities or expressing your unique perspective. Instead of following your own instincts and passions, you might choose the safer route that is more likely to gain approval. This fear of judgment prevents you from tapping into your full potential as you prioritize external acceptance over your own creative expression. Another consequence of seeking validation is that it can lead to a lack of fulfillment. When your sense of self-worth is based on external validation, you are constantly chasing the next compliment, approval, or recognition. This creates a never-ending cycle, where no amount of praise or approval ever feels like enough. Once the initial satisfaction wears off, you find yourself seeking more validation, always looking for the next source of affirmation to fill the void. This external focus keeps you from developing a deep sense of inner contentment and self-acceptance, as you are always dependent on others for your sense of worth. Seeking validation also makes you vulnerable to manipulation. When people know that you crave approval, they can use this to their advantage, influencing your decisions or behavior by withholding or offering praise. This can lead to situations where you compromise your values or make choices that aren't in your best interest, simply to gain approval or avoid rejection. Over time, this erodes your autonomy and self-respect as you become more focused on pleasing others than on staying true to yourself. The need for validation can cloud your judgment, making it difficult to discern what is right for you versus what will earn you approval from others. Validation can create an unhealthy dynamic in relationships. When you constantly look to others for validation, you may place an undue burden on them to meet your emotional needs. This can lead to dependency, where you rely on your partner, friends, or family to provide the reassurance and affirmation that should come from within. It can also create an imbalance in the relationship, where your happiness becomes contingent on the other person's approval, rather than being rooted in your own sense of self-worth. This dynamic can strain relationships as it places pressure on others to constantly provide validation and may lead to frustration or tension over time. Seeking validation can also hinder personal growth and self-discovery. When you are focused on what others think, you may avoid exploring new interests, opinions, or paths that might challenge or upset those around you. You may stick to familiar roles or behaviors that have earned approval in the past, even if they no longer align with your true self. This prevents you from evolving and discovering who you truly are beyond the expectations and judgments of others. It keeps you in a box, limiting your ability to grow, learn, and transform in ways that are authentic to your own journey. Furthermore, the constant pursuit of external validation can distract you from developing self-trust and confidence. When you rely on others to validate your worth or decisions, you weaken your ability to trust your own judgment and instincts. You may second-guess yourself, always looking for reassurance or approval before taking action. This erodes your confidence over time, as you become more dependent on external feedback and less sure of your own inner guidance. Instead of building a solid foundation of self-trust, you look outward for cues on how to think, feel, and behave. Seeking validation from others can lead to emotional instability. When your sense of worth is tied to how others perceive you, your mood and self-esteem fluctuate based on external feedback. Positive validation might lift you up temporarily, but any criticism, rejection, or indifference can send you spiraling into self-doubt or insecurity. This creates a roller coaster of emotions, where your sense of self-worth is constantly at the mercy of external forces beyond your control. Instead of cultivating a stable and grounded sense of self, you become reactive to the opinions and judgments of others. Seeking validation can create a sense of emptiness or disconnection from your true self. When you are always focused on gaining approval from others, you may lose sight of your own values, desires, and passions. You become more concerned with fitting in or meeting others' expectations than with pursuing what truly fulfills you. This disconnect from your authentic self can lead to feelings of dissatisfaction, as you realize that the approval you seek from others does not bring lasting happiness or fulfillment. It is only by turning inward and learning to validate yourself that you can find true contentment and a deeper sense of purpose. In conclusion, avoiding behaviors like negative self-talk, procrastination, fear of failure, blaming others, living in the past, and constantly seeking validation are crucial steps toward personal growth and empowerment. These habits limit your potential and keep you from embracing the fullness of who you are. By recognizing these behaviors and consciously shifting away from them, you reclaim your power and open yourself up to new possibilities for success, happiness, and fulfillment. It's not about being perfect, but about taking responsibility for your mindset, actions, and the way you live each day. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me invite you to pause and reflect for a moment. I want you to consider the deepest longing in your heart, the dream you hold so dear, the life you imagine but may feel is out of reach. Today, I'm here to tell you that the key to unlocking that life lies in a simple yet profound truth: act as if you already have what you want. Your imagination is far more powerful than you may realize. It is the birthplace of every great achievement, every profound change, and every extraordinary life. What you experience in the world is a reflection of the images, feelings, and beliefs you hold within. The creative power of imagination allows you to mold and shape the fabric of reality itself, but many overlook its true potential, dismissing it as fantasy or idle daydreaming. Yet, the imagination is not something passive, it is an active, living force within each of us. When you deliberately harness this power, you can create the life you desire. Everything in this world, from the smallest invention to the grandest accomplishments, was first imagined before it became real. The chair you're sitting in, the phone you hold in your hand, the cities you walk through, all of it began as a seed in someone's mind. That is the power of imagination in action. Now, when we talk about acting as if you already have what you want, we are invoking this creative force in a profound way. Imagination is not about escaping reality, it is about creating reality. When you close your eyes and vividly imagine your desired future, you are not just visualizing, you are aligning yourself with that future. You are bringing the unseen into the seen. When you feel the emotions associated with that future, the joy, the gratitude, the excitement, you are sending out a signal to the universe, calling that reality into existence. Think of it this way: your mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. If you can convince your mind that you already possess your desire, your body and circumstances will begin to reflect that truth. This is not about pretending or living in delusion, it's about awakening to the realization that you are the creator of your world. By seeing yourself in possession of your desire, and by acting as if that desire is already fulfilled, you stimulate the same creative process that has shaped everything in your life up to this point. You might ask, how does this work? The answer lies in the fact that everything is connected. Your thoughts are not isolated from the world around you. They carry energy, and that energy affects the events, people, and opportunities that come into your life. When you imagine something, allow their imagination to be driven by fear, you begin to vibrate at the frequency of that vision. They imagine worst-case circumstances that align with your inner state, and as a result, this is why it is essential to be mindful of what you imagine. For whatever you dwell upon within will manifest your imagination to create a mental picture of success, abundance, and fulfillment. You engage the creative process in your favor. You bring into focus the life you truly desire. Acting as if you have already attained your desires is one of the most powerful ways to harness this force. It bridges the gap between imagination and reality. When you live as though your dreams are already realized, your imagination works tirelessly to turn those dreams into a tangible, physical experience. You begin to think, speak, and behave as the person who already has everything they seek. In doing so, you attract the resources, relationships, and opportunities that will make that vision a reality. Remember, the creative power of your imagination is infinite. The only limits are the ones you impose upon it. When you allow yourself to imagine freely and fully, without restriction, you open the door to endless possibilities. You become the author of your own story, and the world becomes the canvas upon which your imagination paints its masterpiece. A shift in consciousness is one of the most profound transformations a person can undergo. It is not merely a change in thought or attitude, it is a complete realignment of how you perceive yourself, your life, and the world around you. When you shift your consciousness, you move beyond old, limiting beliefs and step into a new level of awareness, one that opens the door to endless possibilities. This shift is essential when you begin to act as if you already have what you desire, as it bridges the gap between wanting and having, between longing and fulfillment. At its core, this change in perspective is about recognizing the power within you to create your reality. Before the shift, is a realization that your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are not passive that something is in the world, rather, that you are not in active forces, or that your desires are always out of reach. Before this shift occurs, however, many people feel as though they are at the mercy of external circumstances, waiting for something to change. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, feel happy or you tune into the feeling of already possessing your desires. But when you shift your consciousness, you understand you embody the mindset of someone who has already achieved their goals. What you focus on internally, your thoughts, what you believe to be and emotions start to will eventually manifest in your external reality. One of the most significant aspects of this shift is the release of doubt and fear. Doubt and fear are the primary forces that keep us stuck in old patterns of thinking and behavior. They are rooted in the belief that our desires are unattainable, or that we are somehow unworthy of achieving them. But when you shift your consciousness, you realize that these limiting beliefs are illusions, self-imposed barriers that prevent you from stepping into your full potential. You no longer ask, can I have this? Or am I worthy? Instead, you begin to see your desires as already state of consciousness, already part of your confidence, faith, and inner knowing. This shift is liberating. You are no longer trying to force the need to happen through sheer will or effort. Instead, you flow with the natural unfolding of your desires, trusting that what you seek is seeking you. You feel the joy, gratitude, and fulfillment of already having what you want, which raises your vibration and aligns you with the experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with that frequency. Another key aspect of this shift is that it transforms how you view challenges. In a lower state of consciousness, obstacles seem overwhelming, and setbacks can feel like proof that your desires are out of reach. But when you shift your consciousness, you begin to see challenges as opportunities for growth, learning, and refinement. Instead of resisting them, you welcome them as part of the journey toward your desired outcome. This shift in perspective empowers you to remain focused and aligned with your vision, even when things don't go exactly as planned. A shift in consciousness is about moving from a state of separation and limitation into one of unity and possibility. You no longer see yourself as separate from your desires, waiting for some external event to bring them to you. Instead, you recognize that your desires are already within you, waiting to be expressed in the physical world. This inner shift is the foundation of true manifestation. When you live from this expanded state of awareness, your desires flow to you naturally and effortlessly, because you have become the person who is ready to receive them. Emotional alignment is a powerful principle when it comes to manifesting your desires. It is the process of bringing your emotional state into harmony with the reality you wish to create. In simple terms, it means feeling the emotions you would experience if you already had what you desire. Instead of waiting for external circumstances to trigger feelings of happiness, fulfillment, or joy, emotional alignment asks you to generate those feelings now, aligning your inner world with the outcome you seek. This practice is one of the most effective ways to accelerate the manifestation of your desires, as your emotions serve as a magnetic force attracting what you focus on. At its core, emotional alignment is about understanding that your emotions are not just reactions to your environment, they are creative forces that shape your experience. When you feel joy, gratitude, or love, you are vibrating at a frequency that naturally attracts more of those experiences into your life. Conversely, when you dwell in feelings of lack, frustration, or fear, you attract more situations that reflect those emotions. Thus, aligning your emotions with your desires is key to bringing them into reality. Many people live in a state of emotional contradiction when it comes to their desires. They want more abundance but feel anxious about money. They crave love but feel lonely or unworthy. They desire success but fear failure. This emotional dissonance creates a gap between where they are and where they want to be. Emotional alignment closes this gap by encouraging you to feel the emotions of your desired outcome in the present moment, as if you already have it. When you do this, you create an internal environment that matches the external reality you wish to experience, drawing it closer to you. One of the most effective ways to achieve emotional alignment is through visualization. When you vividly imagine yourself living the life you desire, you trigger the same emotional responses you would feel if it were happening in reality. If you want financial abundance, imagine yourself in situations where you feel prosperous and secure. If you desire a loving relationship, envision yourself in that relationship, feeling deeply connected, valued, and cherished. By engaging your emotions in this way, you begin to embody the state of already having what you want, which signals to the universe that you are ready to receive it. Another essential aspect of emotional alignment is the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions you can cultivate because it puts you in a state of appreciation for what you have, rather than focusing on what you lack. When you feel grateful for your desires as though they are already fulfilled, you align yourself with the energy of abundance. This emotional state not only raises your vibration but also shifts your focus from scarcity to fulfillment. It reinforces the belief that you are worthy of receiving your desires, helping to dissolve any lingering doubts or fears that may block their manifestation. Emotional alignment also requires a high level of self-awareness. It is important to recognize when your emotions are out of sync with your desires. If you find yourself feeling impatient, frustrated, or doubtful, those emotions are signals that you need to realign. In those moments, take a step back and ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already fulfilled? This simple question can help you shift from a negative emotional state to one of faith, joy, and anticipation. It's a way to recalibrate your emotions and bring them back into harmony with your goals. One of the biggest challenges people face with emotional alignment is that they often wait for external conditions to change before they allow themselves to feel good. They believe that they can only feel happiness once they've achieved their goals or acquired the things they want. However, emotional alignment teaches the opposite. You don't wait for your desires to manifest before you feel joy first, and your desires will follow. The outer world is a reflection of your inner state, and when you align your emotions with your vision, the universe responds by bringing your vision to life. Emotional alignment is about becoming a vibrational match to what you want by feeling the emotions of your desired outcome in the present moment. It's a process of shifting your focus away from what's missing and instead cultivating feelings of gratitude, joy, and fulfillment as though your desires are already a reality. By aligning your emotions with your goals, you create the emotional foundation necessary for your desires to manifest effortlessly and naturally into your experience. Faith and belief are the cornerstones of any manifestation process. They are the invisible forces that sustain you when evidence of your desires has yet to materialize in the physical world. Faith is the unwavering trust in the unseen, the ability to know deep within your heart that what you desire is already on its way to you, even when there is no external proof. Belief, on the other hand, is the conviction that you are capable and deserving of what you seek. Together, faith and belief create a powerful synergy that transforms your thoughts, emotions, and actions into tangible results. When you act as if you already have what you want, faith is your guiding force. Without faith, it's easy to give up when things don't seem to be happening as quickly as you'd like. Often people lose sight of their goals when they don't see immediate progress, and this lack of patience can lead them to doubt their ability to manifest what they desire. But faith requires you to trust the process, to believe that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even if you can't yet see the final result. This kind of faith is not based on wishful thinking, it is a deep inner knowing, a sense of certainty that what you've imagined is already yours, and that it will come to pass at the right time. Belief, intertwined with faith, is the foundation upon which you build your desired reality. Belief begins with the understanding that your thoughts and emotions are powerful creative forces. If you believe in your ability to create your life through these internal processes, you will naturally align your actions and behaviors with that belief. When you truly believe that something is possible, you are more likely to take steps toward achieving it, to act in ways that bring you closer to your goals. Belief empowers you to persevere through challenges, to remain resilient in the face of obstacles, and to maintain a clear vision of your desired outcome, no matter how distant it may seem. One of the most important aspects of belief is self-worth. Many people struggle with manifesting their desires because deep down, they don't believe they deserve what they want. This lack of self-belief creates internal resistance that blocks the flow of manifestation. If you believe that you are not worthy of success, love, abundance, or happiness, no matter how much you desire it, you will unconsciously push it away. Therefore, cultivating a strong sense of self-worth is essential. You must believe that you are deserving of all the good things you seek, and that the universe is more than willing to provide them to you. Faith and belief also help you overcome doubt, fear, and uncertainty. Doubt is the enemy of manifestation. It creates an internal conflict between what you desire and what you think is possible, causing you to send mixed signals to the universe. When you doubt, you are essentially telling yourself and the world that you're not sure if what you want can actually happen. This weakens your manifestation efforts because it splits your focus between what you desire and the fear that you won't achieve it. Faith, however, wipes out doubt. It replaces uncertainty with a calm assurance that all is well, that everything is working in your favor. Belief strengthens your resilience. When you believe in your vision, you are not swayed by temporary setbacks or external challenges. You trust in your ability to navigate difficulties and remain focused on your goal. This belief creates a sense of stability and confidence, which in turn attracts the resources, opportunities, and circumstances you need to succeed. Faith and belief are about trusting yourself and the process of life. They require you to let go of the need to control every detail and to surrender to the flow of the universe. When you trust that your desires are already being fulfilled and believe that you are worthy of them, you align with the creative power that brings your dreams into reality. You move from a state of doubt and fear into a state of certainty and confidence, which accelerates the manifestation of your desires and transforms your life. Breaking free of limiting patterns is a transformative process that can radically alter the course of your life. These patterns are deeply ingrained habits of thought and behavior that keep you stuck in a cycle of repetition, preventing you from reaching your full potential. They are the invisible barriers that stand between you and the life you truly desire. Often, these limiting patterns operate beneath the surface of your consciousness, quietly dictating your actions, decisions, and even your beliefs about what is possible for you. However, once you become aware of them, you have the power to change them, and this is where the real transformation begins. Limiting patterns usually originate from past experiences, conditioning, or societal influences. They are formed in response to events where you may have felt inadequate, powerless, or rejected, and they leave behind beliefs that shape how you view yourself and the world. These beliefs manifest as thoughts like, "I'm not good enough, success is hard to achieve," or "I'll never be able to have what I want." These patterns create a mindset of lack, fear, and limitation, which keeps you in a constant state of wanting but not having. They create a gap between where you are and where you want to be, and until they are addressed, they will continue to hinder your growth. The first step in breaking free of these limiting patterns is recognizing them for what they are: old beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve you. You must become aware of the thoughts and feelings that arise when you consider your desires. Do you feel excitement and anticipation, or do you feel doubt, fear, and frustration? These emotional responses are clues that point to the limiting beliefs lurking in the background. Once you identify these beliefs, you can begin the process of replacing them with more empowering ones. To break free of limiting patterns, you must start by reprogramming your mind with new, expansive beliefs that align with your goals. This requires a conscious effort to challenge the old beliefs and replace them with ones that affirm your ability to create the life you desire. For example, if you've always believed that success is hard to achieve, you can begin telling yourself, "Success comes easily to me," or "I am fully capable of achieving all my goals." Repeating these affirmations helps to rewire your brain, replacing the old, limiting thoughts with new, empowering ones. Another critical aspect of breaking free is changing your emotional state. Your emotions are powerful indicators of the beliefs you hold, and they also play a role in creating your reality. When you feel stuck in a limiting pattern, it's often because your emotions are aligned with that old belief system. To shift out of this, you must cultivate emotions that align with your new, expansive beliefs. This means feeling the joy, confidence, and excitement of already having what you want, even before it arrives. By doing this, you create an internal state that is in harmony with your desires, which helps to dissolve the old patterns and bring new opportunities into your life. Taking consistent action is another key to breaking free from limiting patterns. These patterns are not just mental or emotional, they also manifest in your daily habits and choices. If you've been living in a way that reflects your limiting beliefs, such as avoiding risks or not taking action on your goals, you must begin making new choices that reflect your new belief system. This might mean stepping out of your comfort zone, taking bold action toward your dreams, or adopting new habits that support your growth. Every time you take action from a place of empowerment, you weaken the hold of the old patterns and strengthen your new mindset. Breaking free of limiting patterns is about reclaiming your power to create your reality. It's about recognizing that the beliefs and behaviors that have held you back are not fixed, they can be changed. Once you release the old patterns, you open yourself up to new possibilities and allow yourself to step into the version of you that is capable of achieving your deepest desires. By breaking free of these limitations, you not only change your present circumstances, but you also pave the way for a future that reflects the true potential of who you are. Living from the end is a transformative approach to manifestation that shifts the way you think, feel, and act in relation to your desires. It is the practice of mentally and emotionally placing yourself in the state of already having achieved your goals, and living your life from that perspective. This method encourages you to act as if your desired outcome is not something distant or uncertain, but something that already exists. By doing so, you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality you want to create, thus accelerating its manifestation in your physical world. The idea behind living from the end is simple yet profound. The present moment holds the key to creating your future. Instead of waiting for external conditions to change or improve before you feel fulfilled, successful, or happy, you generate those feelings right now in the present. You embody the version of yourself who has already attained everything you desire. This shift in perspective is not just a mental exercise, it is a complete realignment of your inner world, one that brings your outer reality into harmony with your internal state. When you live from the end, you are essentially bypassing the uncertainty, doubt, and fear that often accompany the pursuit of a goal. Many people approach their desires from a state of lack, constantly thinking about what they don't have or how far they still have to go. This creates an emotional state of wanting, which only perpetuates more wanting. By contrast, living from the end allows you to experience the emotions of already having what you want. You feel the joy, gratitude, and satisfaction that come with the realization of your desire, and as a result, you align yourself with the frequency of that reality. This emotional alignment is key, as it serves as a powerful magnetic force, drawing your desired outcome closer to you. One of the core principles of living from the end is the understanding that your imagination is the creative force behind your reality. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you consistently imagine yourself in the state of having already achieved your desire, your subconscious mind begins to accept this as your reality. Over time, this belief becomes embedded in your psyche, and you start to make choices, take actions, and attract circumstances that support the manifestation of that reality. The world around you begins to shift in response to the changes within you. A key part of this process is faith. When you live from the end, you must have unwavering faith that your desired outcome is not just possible, but inevitable. Faith allows you to release the need for control or micromanagement over how your goal will unfold. You trust that the universe is working in your favor, aligning people, events, and opportunities to bring your vision into fruition. This trust enables you to remain calm and patient, even when external circumstances appear unchanged. Instead of reacting to the current reality, you remain steadfast in your inner vision, knowing that the outer world will eventually reflect your inner state. Living from the end also requires a shift in identity. You must let go of the old version of yourself, the one who is still striving, hoping or doubting, and step into the identity of the person who already has everything they desire. This involves more than just thinking differently. It means embodying the behaviors, attitudes, and habits of the person you aspire to be. For example, if you desire financial abundance, you would begin to make decisions, both large and small, from the mindset of someone who is already wealthy. If you desire a loving relationship, you would act with the confidence, love, and openness of someone who already has that relationship in their life. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you leave here today feeling empowered to manifest the life you truly desire. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Today I want to share with you 9 powerful truths to remind yourself of everyday truths that, when practiced, can transform your life in ways unimaginable. The reality you live in today is the result of the thoughts you have repeatedly entertained in the past. Whether you're aware of it or not, you have been continuously shaping your world. The beliefs you hold about yourself, others, and the world have created the circumstances around you. If you believe that life is a struggle, filled with hardships, you will undoubtedly find yourself surrounded by challenges that reinforce that belief. On the other hand, if you hold a firm belief that the universe is abundant and full of opportunities, you will naturally attract experiences that confirm this truth. This is not to say that we consciously choose every single event in our lives. Sometimes, life presents us with situations we would never wish for. But even in those instances, the way we perceive and respond to them is still within our control. You may not be able to prevent a storm, but you can decide how you will weather it. In this way, you are always at the helm of your experience, navigating through life based on the state of your consciousness. When we speak of being the creator of your reality, it's important to recognize the power of thought. Thought is the seed from which all experiences grow. Every creation begins in the mind. The great buildings, cities, technologies, and works of art we admire today all started as ideas in someone's imagination. Similarly, every aspect of your life, your relationships, career, health, and personal growth begins with your thoughts. When you harness the power of your mind and direct it with intention, you become the architect of your future. Imagination plays a pivotal role in this process. What you imagine with feeling, you begin to experience in your outer world. The mind does not differentiate between what is imagined and what is real. It responds to both with equal intensity. This is why it is so vital to consciously engage your imagination in ways that serve your highest good. If you can see yourself living a life of joy, success, and love in your mind's eye, and you allow yourself to feel the emotions associated with that vision, you are planting the seeds for that life to materialize. However, simply imagining a better life is not enough. Creation requires belief. Your beliefs form the framework through which your reality is filtered. If you hold contradictory beliefs, if you imagine success but deep down believe you are unworthy of it, then your reality will reflect the conflict within. It's like planting a seed in barren soil. No matter how much you water it, it will not grow unless the environment is conducive to growth. You must cultivate beliefs that are in alignment with the life you wish to create. This requires inner work. It means examining your beliefs, especially those that limit you, and transforming them. The process may be uncomfortable at times as you confront old patterns of thinking that have kept you stuck, but it is necessary for growth. You must remind yourself daily that you are not a victim of circumstance, but the creator of your experience. Every time you catch yourself thinking disempowering thoughts, choose to shift them. Replace doubt with confidence, fear with faith, and limitation with possibility. It's also essential to understand the power of focus. What you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they will multiply in your life. If you focus on opportunities, they will appear in abundance. The mind is incredibly potent in amplifying whatever it consistently dwells upon. This is why it's crucial to direct your attention toward the things you want to experience, rather than the things you wish to avoid. When you train your mind to see opportunities where others see obstacles, to expect success where others expect failure, you begin to attract those outcomes into your life. You are not a passive observer in this world. You are an active participant, continuously shaping your reality through your thoughts, beliefs, and focus. The power to create lies within you. It always has. The moment you truly accept that you are the creator of your reality, your life begins to change. You move from a place of reaction to a place of creation, and that shift is where your true power lies. Imagination is the key to transformation, a truth that is often overlooked in the fast-paced, logic-driven world we live in. Yet imagination holds the power to reshape our lives in profound ways. It is not just a tool for creativity or an escape from reality. It is the very foundation of how we create and transform our reality. Every significant change, whether in the world or within ourselves, begins with imagination. It is through imagination that we dream, innovate, and ultimately bring forth new possibilities that have the power to transform the course of our lives. At its core, imagination is the ability to form mental images, ideas, or concepts of things not physically present to the senses. But it goes beyond mere daydreaming. Imagination is a creative force that allows us to transcend our current circumstances and envision new realities. It's the seed from which all manifestation grows. Everything we see in the world around us, buildings, technology, art, societal structures, started as a thought in someone's mind, nurtured and developed through imagination before it took physical form. Imagination is the invisible blueprint for everything that becomes real. Transformation, whether it be personal growth, career success, or overcoming obstacles, begins in the mind. When we imagine a new reality for ourselves, we activate the mental process of creation. This mental vision becomes a guiding force that directs our actions, decisions, and emotions, leading us toward the transformation we seek. It's like charting a course for a journey without knowing where we want to go. We remain stuck in the same place, repeating the same patterns. Imagination gives us the destination, a vision of what could be. And from that vision, we begin to move toward it. Imagination is also the way we bridge the gap between who we are and who we wish to become. It allows us to step outside the limitations of our current identity and experience a new version of ourselves. When we close our eyes and imagine ourselves as more confident, successful, or fulfilled, we are not just indulging in fantasy, we are laying the groundwork for personal transformation. The subconscious mind, which drives much of our behavior, does not distinguish between reality and vividly imagined experiences. When we repeatedly imagine ourselves in a new way, our subconscious begins to accept that image as truth, and we start to act, feel, and live in alignment with that new reality. This transformative power of imagination has been demonstrated throughout history. Some of the greatest minds, from inventors to visionaries, relied heavily on their imagination to bring about world-changing ideas. Think of figures like Albert Einstein, who famously said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." He understood that while knowledge is limited to what we already know, imagination is boundless, allowing us to explore realms of possibility that have yet to be discovered. The greatest breakthroughs in science, art, and philosophy all stemmed from someone daring to imagine something different from the current reality. In our personal lives, imagination plays an equally vital role. It is through the creative use of our imagination that we can heal from past trauma, overcome limiting beliefs, and unlock new levels of potential. For example, when someone imagines themselves letting go of a painful memory, or sees themselves living a life free from a long-held fear, they are beginning the process of emotional transformation. The mind, when consistently exposed to these positive mental images, starts to rewire itself, forming new neural pathways that align with the imagined reality. Over time, what started as a simple exercise in imagination becomes an embodied truth. However, for imagination to truly be transformative, it must be combined with belief and feeling. It is not enough to simply picture something in your mind, you must feel the emotions of that imagined reality as if it were already true. When you feel the joy, excitement, or relief of your envisioned transformation, you create a powerful emotional signal that communicates to your subconscious mind that this new reality is possible. The mind and body begin to respond to these signals, aligning your actions, decisions, and energy with the imagined outcome. This process of combining imagination with emotion and belief is what sets true transformation into motion. Imagination is far more than a mental escape. It is a creative tool that holds the power to shape and transform our lives. By daring to imagine new possibilities, and by feeling those possibilities as real, we initiate a process of change that unfolds from the inside out. Through the consistent and intentional use of our imagination, we can break free from limiting patterns, create new realities, and ultimately transform into the people we are destined to become. The key is to embrace the power of imagination, nurture it, and trust in its ability to bring forth the transformation we seek. What you focus on expands. This simple yet profound principle has the power to shape every aspect of your life, from your relationships to your career, health, and happiness. It is a truth that underscores how our thoughts, attention, and energy directly influence our reality. Whatever we consistently focus on, whether positive or negative, grows and manifests in our lives. This is not some abstract or mystical concept. It's a fundamental law of how the human mind interacts with the world around it. At its core, this idea is based on the way our brains work. The human brain is an extraordinary filtering system. Every day we are bombarded with vast amounts of information, far more than we can consciously process. To make sense of the world, the brain filters out most of this information and focuses on what it deems important. The deciding factor for what gets through this filter is what we consistently focus on. The brain interprets our focus as a sign that something is important to us, and as a result, it starts finding more of it in our environment. On the flip side, when you focus on solutions, possibilities, and positive outcomes, you send your energy in a direction that supports growth, creativity, and progress. Focusing on the things you are grateful for example, can dramatically shift your energy and mood. Gratitude opens your mind and heart to more abundance, because when you focus on what you have, rather than what you lack, you are acknowledging that life is already full. This positive focus encourages more blessings to flow into your life. This principle doesn't mean that we should ignore challenges or pretend that problems don't exist. Instead, it's about choosing where to place the majority of our mental and emotional energy. Challenges are a part of life, but how we focus on them determines whether they will drag us down or become opportunities for growth. By focusing on solutions, resilience, and learning, we shift the narrative of our experiences. We move from a state of helplessness to one of empowerment. The more you practice this shift, the easier it becomes. Over time, your brain will start to automatically filter your experiences in a way that supports your growth and happiness. You'll begin to notice more opportunities, more reasons to be grateful, and more reasons to feel empowered. This doesn't mean that life will be without challenges, but it does mean that you'll be better equipped to handle them from a place of strength, optimism, and resilience. The power of focus lies in its ability to shape your internal and external worlds. When you focus on what you want, rather than what you don't want, you harness the creative power of your mind to expand those desires into your reality. What you focus on truly expands, and by consciously directing your focus, you have the ability to transform your life in meaningful and lasting ways. Live in the end result is a principle that calls for aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality of your desire being already fulfilled. Instead of waiting for external conditions to change before feeling successful, happy, or fulfilled, this approach suggests that you first embody the emotional and mental state of having achieved your goal. This idea is more than just wishful thinking. It is a profound psychological and spiritual practice that taps into the power of the subconscious mind, aligning your entire being with the future you seek to create. The concept is rooted in the understanding that the external world reflects the internal state of your consciousness. Most people approach life by responding to their circumstances. If things go well, they feel good. If things go poorly, they feel bad. But living in the end result flips this process. Rather than waiting for your circumstances to validate your emotions, you begin by cultivating the feelings and beliefs that align with your desired outcome. This practice conditions your mind and body to act as if your goals have already been achieved, thus influencing your reality in powerful ways. When you live in the end result, you are no longer thinking in terms of someday, or if you shift your mindset to a state of being where your desired outcome is already true. For instance, if you are seeking financial abundance, you don't dwell on the current lack of money or the difficulties in obtaining it. Instead, you imagine yourself already living a life of financial freedom. You embrace the feelings of security, abundance, and ease that come with it. In doing so, you align your thoughts and emotions with the reality of abundance, which begins to shift your actions, decisions, and even the opportunities you attract. The power of living in the end result lies in the fact that the subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you consistently visualize your desired outcome and embody the feelings that accompany it, your subconscious begins to accept this as your reality. Over time, it reshapes your habits, behaviors, and perceptions to align with that new reality. This is why elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and high achievers often use visualization techniques as part of their routine. By seeing and feeling themselves already at the finish line, they condition their minds and bodies to act in ways that make that vision a reality. But the practice goes deeper than just visualization. It's about truly feeling that you are already living your desired life. The key is to cultivate the emotional state that comes with your goal's fulfillment. For example, if your desire is a loving relationship, you must first embody the feelings of love, companionship, and joy, rather than focusing on the lack of those things in your life. By doing so, you attract experiences and people that resonate with the emotional frequency you are emitting. The same applies to career success, health, personal growth, or any other area of life. Living in the end result also encourages you to stop worrying about how your goals will be achieved. Many people get caught up in the details, obsessing over the steps they need to take, or doubting whether their dreams are even possible. This doubt and focus on the how can create resistance, which blocks the flow of opportunities and solutions. When you live in the end result, you trust that the necessary steps and opportunities will unfold naturally. You let go of the need to control every aspect of the journey, knowing that the energy you put into feeling and believing in the outcome will attract the right circumstances. It's important to understand that living in the end result doesn't mean ignoring your present circumstances or pretending challenges don't exist. It's not about denying reality, it's about recognizing that your current reality is malleable and can be shaped by the state of your consciousness. You don't have to wait for your external situation to improve before you can feel the way you want to feel. Instead, you can create a shift internally first, which in turn influences your external reality. One of the most significant benefits of living in the end result is the reduction of stress and anxiety. When you believe that your desires are already fulfilled, there's no need for desperation, fear, or doubt. You operate from a place of confidence and trust. This doesn't mean you won't take action, quite the opposite. Living in the end result often motivates inspired action, but the difference is that your actions come from a place of certainty rather than fear. You move forward with the assurance that everything is already working out in your favor. Living in the end result requires practice and patience, especially if you're accustomed to focusing on lack or doubt. It's easy to fall back into old habits of worry or fear, particularly when faced with challenges. But the more you practice shifting your focus to the feeling of your desired outcome, the more natural it becomes. Over time, this practice can lead to profound changes in your life, as the internal shifts in your consciousness are reflected in the external world. Living in the end result is a way of aligning yourself with your highest potential. It's a powerful approach to life that allows you to move beyond fear, doubt, and limitation, and into a state of trust, abundance, and empowerment. By embodying the energy of your fulfilled desires, you become a magnet for the experiences, opportunities, and resources that bring those desires into reality. Persist in your assumptions is a powerful principle that teaches the importance of maintaining unwavering belief in your desired outcome, regardless of current circumstances or external challenges. This idea is rooted in the understanding that your assumptions, or the things you believe to be true, shape your reality. What you assume about yourself, others, and the world around you acts as a blueprint for how your life unfolds. To persist in your assumptions means to hold fast to the belief that what you desire is already yours, even when it appears otherwise. The power of assumption is closely tied to the workings of the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not question or rationalize, it accepts whatever you feed it as truth. Therefore, the assumptions you consistently hold will be accepted by the subconscious as your reality, regardless of whether they are true in the present moment. By persisting in a chosen assumption, you are effectively reprogramming your subconscious mind to align with the reality you desire. Over time, this shift in your internal state begins to reflect outwardly in your experiences. For example, if you desire success in your career but currently feel stuck or undervalued, persisting in the assumption that you are already successful, despite the present evidence, starts to shift your reality. Instead of focusing on your current limitations or obstacles, you focus on the feeling of having already achieved your goal. You imagine what it feels like to be recognized, valued, and thriving in your career. By persisting in this assumption, your subconscious begins to accept this as truth, and as a result, your actions, attitudes, and the opportunities you attract start to align with this new belief. This is not simply about positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. Persistence in assumption requires a deep and consistent commitment to the belief that your desired outcome is inevitable. It involves rejecting any thoughts or feelings of doubt, fear, or failure. It's a mental and emotional discipline that requires you to constantly return to the assumption of your success, even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. In this way, you train your mind to focus on what you want, rather than on what you don't want. The challenges are a natural part of life, and there will be times when external circumstances seem to contradict your assumptions. Perhaps you're trying to manifest a loving relationship, but every date goes wrong. Or maybe you're aiming for financial freedom, yet bills keep piling up. These moments of contradiction are where persistence is truly tested. It's easy to fall back into old patterns of doubt or frustration, but to persist in your assumption means to stand firm in the belief that your desired outcome is on its way, regardless of temporary setbacks. One of the key reasons this principle works is that the world around you is highly influenced by your internal state. Your beliefs, thoughts, and assumptions affect your perception, which in turn affects how you interact with the world. If you assume that opportunities are scarce, you are likely to miss them even when they are right in front of you, because your mind is conditioned to overlook them. On the other hand, if you assume that opportunities are abundant, you will naturally notice and seize them. Persistence in assumption shifts your internal filter, making you more receptive to the possibilities that align with your desires. Additionally, the energy you put out into the world is shaped by your assumptions. If you assume that you are capable, deserving, and destined for success, you will emit a confidence that draws positive experiences toward you. People respond to your energy, often without even realizing it. When you persist in an assumption of confidence and success, others start to treat you accordingly, creating a feedback loop that reinforces your belief. Conversely, if you persist in an assumption of lack or unworthiness, that too becomes your reality, as your energy repels the very things you seek. The law of assumption also teaches that time is irrelevant when it comes to manifestation. Your desired outcome exists in a state beyond time. It is the persistence of your assumption that draws it into your present reality. Many people give up on their dreams or desires because they don't see immediate results. But manifestation doesn't operate on a human timeline, it operates on belief. The moment you persist in your assumption, the process begins. Whether it takes days, months, or years to materialize is not as important as your ability to hold on to the belief that it will happen. When you persist, you build an unshakable faith that what you desire is already yours, and it will manifest in its own perfect timing. However, persisting in your assumptions also requires self-awareness. You must be willing to examine your habitual thoughts and beliefs, many of which operate below the surface. If you continually affirm that you are successful but carry deep-seated beliefs of unworthiness or failure, these underlying assumptions will sabotage your efforts. Persistence requires you to root out these limiting beliefs and replace them with new, empowering assumptions that support the reality you want to create. This can be a challenging process, as it involves confronting old patterns and emotional wounds, but it is essential for true transformation. Ultimately, to persist in your assumptions is to claim your power as a creator of your reality. It is a practice of faith, discipline, and inner alignment. By holding firm to the assumption of your desired outcome, no matter what external circumstances arise, you set in motion the forces that will bring that outcome into your life. This principle allows you to transcend the limitations of your current reality and step into a future that is shaped by your deepest desires and beliefs. The world will eventually conform to your assumptions, but only if you persist.